You turned the comments on already?
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. We are in the cocoon room. I'm sorry, in the cocoon room. I am Amaru, and this is my wonderful co-host. Introduce yourself.
Hi, welcome guys. I'm Candace.
Welcome to the cocoon room again, where we are talking about healthy Black relationships. Uh, all in enduring whether it's family related, friendships, husband and wife, boyfriend and girlfriend, sister and brother. We're just trying to have some positive conversation on Black relationships. Uh, with that said, I hope you guys enjoyed your Sunday. Uh, but um, today's podcast, we want to talk about the movie, which I don't know if a lot of people saw it, but the movie was called A Journal for Jordan, obviously, and it was starring Michael B. Jordan, and I think her name was Shantae Smith,
Shantae.
Shantae Davis, or I forget the last name, as the co-star role with Michael B. Jordan. Um, but before we start, we wanted to start off, Candace, with a scripture, and let me put it up for you guys.
Well,
Go ahead.
welcome guys. I hope you guys enjoyed your Sunday. It was absolutely a beautiful day outside. I've seen a lot of people out and about. And yes, I wanted to start off with the scripture. So this is John 14 and 18. There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear because fear has to do with punishment. The one who fears is not made in perfect love.
What does that mean to you, Miss Candace?
I do believe that when you really love someone, there shouldn't be any fear. I know in the beginning there might be you might be scared because you don't know what the relationship looks like or what may happen long term. But I do think that when you love someone, you should love them wholeheartedly. And I don't think that it should be associated with fear. Oftentimes, people are very fearful in new love because of some trauma that they've had in the past with an old relationship. So if they haven't completely healed, they take the fear into the new relationship or those reservations from the past relationship, and so they have some fears. But again, that's why we always say you have to heal your heart and heal yourself before you try to begin dating again. So I do not believe that there's no love and fear. If you feel fearful in a relationship where you're supposed to love someone, that means that relationship may be toxic.
Absolutely. Again, I think that um, it doesn't, like, it's like oil and water don't mix, right? Fear and love doesn't go together, and so I think you worded that perfectly. Of course, I don't go to church, so I don't do all that, but some of the concepts here in this scripture, absolutely, I agree with. Go ahead.
And even further, look what it says is fear has to do with punishment. Oftentimes when people get in trouble, it's associated with fear. Like if you do something, there's a consequence behind your actions. And so the consequence is usually punishment, right? So why feel fearful if you love someone, right? You shouldn't feel fearful if you're in love with someone. It shouldn't be associated with punishment at all.
Absolutely. And we got our first comment of the day.
I
How much
do
time
see
was
that.
but so as we're talking about love on this lovely Sunday evening, right? And so the premise of the movie was a Black love story, right? And so with our first thoughts, I would like to ask you, well, and ask our viewers, what was well, first I'm gonna ask you, Candace, what was your overall thoughts on the movie? And also viewers, if you saw the movie, what was your thoughts? Also leave your comments in the comment section.
My overall thought about the movie, I absolutely I loved it. It actually showed a black couple in a very positive light. We didn't see any verbal or emotional abuse in the movie. We didn't see any domestic violence in the movie. But what we seen was two couples learning to get along with each other, learning each other, learning what they liked about each other, and different things like that. So I really thought it was a good movie. I think Denzel did a great job and being intentional about how he showed that they loved each other. So I think that it was a great movie.
My thoughts on the movie, I had a couple. I was all over the place because, so just for preference, when I was coming back from Texas, And you know how you on the flight, and so you get to choose the movie you want to watch. And so I'm like, oh wow, let me watch this, right? And so I got through halfway through the flight, and I'm watching the movie. My flight ends, and I'm literally 15 minutes from the movie ending. I did not want to get up because the movie was so good, right? So that's what made me want to watch it. I'm like, wow, this would be a wonderful movie to discuss on our podcast. But what I thought about the movie was, I got a couple of things. One thing was that these images, these perceptions that this movie put out there, they do exist. Because a lot of times when we looking at social media or on TV or a lot of different spaces, um, they don't talk like we don't get depicted in a positive light as far as a love story, right? It's always, and obviously I didn't like the way the movie ended because of him having the pat, he transitioning on, but there was a message behind that. But overall, I love the movie because it also was like a omen to black men, right? How you conduct yourself when treating, your counterpart, right? Your female companion. How he respected her, how he adored her, how he loved her, how even when he was in the wrong, he held himself accountable, right? How he, he how he gravitated towards her heart was through the little things he did, right? And so we're gonna get into some of those things. I don't want to spoil it for everybody, but some of the things he did throughout the movie, it made you wonder. Because I was wondering, like, how did she fall in love with him? You see throughout the movie what made her love him the way she did. So, but with that, with my explanation, there, did you want to add something?
I do. Just real quickly, I want to ask you guys, since we're talking about it, what movie or song introduced you to love?
Well, and for me, we were talking about this before the show. Uh, when I was in high school, it was probably our sophomore year, which was like 97. And so my first girlfriend at the time, uh, and many of you know who she is, but we're not going to say any names. But the CD that she loved, I bought her the CD, and it was the Rome CD. And the song was Every Time I See Your Face. Every time I see your face, make me want to sing. Every time I think about your love, it drives me crazy. I was 15, so like it's funny, right? We're a little older, and it's funny when we hear our parents talk about. Remember this song back in the 70s? That was my heyday. That was my heyday, right? 95. Right? I'm talking like that, but that was the song uh, that I remember when I think about love, when falling in love with someone. That was the song that that comes to mind because that was my first experience with love. And so, with that said, I'll ask you, what was your song or movie?
So for my song, I think it was just Candy Girl, but by New Edition. But I think that song was it because my family called me Candy, and so I really like the song. So I think per se it was that song, but if I think about high school, it was basically like John B. Don't listen to what people say because they don't know about our love. And so I think it was John B. in high school, but my movie was Love and Basketball because I think that couple they endured a lot. They were friends as kids. They played with each other, and she had like this serious crush on him. And they went through a lot of things. They went through some obstacles and jumped over some hurdles. But in the end, they ended up together. And I see a comment from my sister where she says, love without limits. And I think for in that situation, that is exactly what happened. They ended up together even after they had so many things that happened to them throughout their life. So yeah.
I have a comment from Mr. Wilson.
Okay. Fireproof, the movie Fireproof, have you ever watched that?
No, no, I've never heard of
It's
it.
Fireproof. If you guys have not watched it, I would suggest that you do. It's a really good movie. It's a Christian based movie, and what it is Fireproof is a movie that talks to you about what relationships looks like. The premise of the movie basically said that there were several different couples in the movie, and there had been some infidelity in the movie, and so it taught you how to fight the right way. And I know when we talk about fighting, it always seems like it's violent, but when people fight, they fight in the physical, but when you fight for your marriage, it's supposed to be in the spiritual realm. And so that's what fireproof is. It teaches couples how to fight spiritually versus how to fight physically, and verbally. And the young lady had what she called her prayer closet. So she would walk into the closet and she would get into prayer, and that was her space. And she was trying to mend the relationship with her husband because he had went off and was cheating with someone, and she wanted to mend their family and get them back together. So if you have not watched it, it's a phenomenal movie, and it is called Fireproof. I actually watched it.
Wow. Okay. That told me we saw before the show. I said, your dad, that's Black Jesus right there.
You did
Right
say
on, you saw that, right? Uh, Another comment for me. Now, this is our YouTube subscribers, and so Crazy Love by Brian McKnight and Love of Basketball. I'm gonna start this because, and I'm gonna be honest with y'all real quick. So, Brian McKnight, man, listen, I remember 1995. What's the CD? Martellus, my guy. Shout out to Martellus. So, I'm a real quick story. So, we at his house, and I'm like, "What you listening to?" You remember the CD players that had the little? It opened up right, compact CD player with the little, the little joint over the head, the headphones, and so he pops the CD. Now, this is in the era of Master P, right? So about it. Like now, I think we at it, right? He listened to Brian McKnight. I'm like, I'm sitting there like, what is this? Like, bruh. And so I'm messing. Oh man, you too big to listen to Brian McKnight. Whatever. I gets home and I heard the song on the radio. Was it Back to One? Is that I think that's the song.
From Brian McKnight.
Yes, beautiful.
He's one of my favorite artists.
I bought the CD the next day. And so we sitting up there, and people looking at us like, "What is y'all doing?" We sitting there singing. I'm like, well, "We can't be singing this to each other. Like we're gonna sing it to each other, but we singing the song, so we have appreciation for it." So absolutely, Brian McKnight and Love and Basketball. I would start that. We got more comments here. Anita Baker, okay. Antoinette, old school though. That's some old stuff right there. She talking about some real. Shout out to Antoinette. How you doing, Miss Lady?
Hi, Antoinette. I haven't seen you on here before, but welcome.
Yes, we got more in this love. Okay.
Okay.
Oh, and my other artist is Sade. I love her.
Erica, who sings "Endless Love"? Don't bite my head, guys. I'm trying to remember who sings that. Do you remember who sings that?
I think that's Brian McKnight. I think, is it? Yeah, don't beat me up because I yes, but back in yes. Brian McKnight was a beast. Well, he still is a beast, but that whole CD you can play all the way through. Like I promise you. Yes. As we're, so I would like to pivot from that, but you can still, give your thoughts and come on, let's go back and look at some more. Endless Right. Oh, she said Diana Ross. Ooh, that's a monster right there. Lionel Richie. Oh, does he? Okay, I didn't even know that. I don't even know that. I'm so used to.
Oh, thank you, Candy.
I didn't even know that. Okay.
Look at Candy being the song trivia person for us.
I know. My man Antoine, what's up? He sings it with Diana Ross. It's a duet. I did not. Wow, okay. Y'all really showing y'all age. I did not know that.
Thank you, Joy. Joy know it too. Joy says this is a duet. You know what, Eugene? I feel like we have to step our game up now.
Okay, yes, because I did not know that. I'm so used to All Night Long. That's and that was my man. So shout out to Lionel Richie. So with that, with the songs and the movies that introduced you to love, I like to pivot to one of the scenes in the movie, which was the dinner. And so Candace has some thoughts on this, and I'd like for you to speak on that. Go ahead.
Okay, so when I was watching the movie and Dana went to her parents' home for dinner for her dad's birthday, I just remember them sitting at the dinner table and dad finally walking into the room and sitting down for dinner. And as he began to pray, I seen the look on her face. The room was very silent and it was quiet, but I seen the stare that she gave him there. It seems that she wanted to say something or she had a thought. and the thought that she had gave off in her facial expression. So I knew that it was a disconnect between dad and daughter. I wasn't sure what it was at the very moment because the movie had just began, but it was in that moment that I knew that it was some relationship issues there. Or they might have had a strange relationship. So that was my thought as the movie began.
And so, like, obviously, we didn't know, it was like a prelude to what was to come through in the movie. But when you saw the look, right, that she gave her father, I saw that too. I noticed that too. But then I also noticed, so like, and I like this. So let's get some background. So like, it showed me two different point of views, right? So even though he may have had some issues with the mom, right, some infidelity issues, like we find that out later. So that's why she looked at him that way.
Mm-hmm.
But as you look at the scene, so that's from she's still thinking as a child, so trauma as a child, right? But if you look at the scene, the mother still served him. She respected him like he never did anything. And I'm not saying that, when a man cheats and all that, the women's supposed, because obviously you're gonna have problems throughout your marriage, and things are not perfect. But that's what caught my eye, because I was like, wow, she waited for him, and then you see how she looked at her mom like, you still, you're gonna still and submit to that. So that's why it caught my eye. But I think Denzel was very intentional in putting that in there, because he wanted to show, yes, you're going to have different interpretations of what a marriage looks like, but it only matters to who's in the marriage. But go ahead. I know you want to speak on that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I do believe that even though Dana looked at her father that way, mom still allowed him to be the head of the house. She still allowed him to pray, and she still allowed him to lead, to lead the family. And I do think that is very important, because even with the situation that happened, if mom forgave him and they mended the relationship, nobody else can like dictate what happens, in that moment.
Yes, I agree. But so that was the dinner, right? And then we have another scene that we want to speak about. And obviously before the show, we prepping the stuff. But you wanted to talk about 3 weeks. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so um Jordan calls Dana and she's excited to hear from him. And she said, yeah, my dad told me that he gave you my number, but it's been 3 weeks. Why haven't you called? And I think that Jordan thought enough of her to respect her. He was actually going through a divorce. So he's very intentional in his act. He wanted to make sure that he closed one door before he opened another door. And I think that moment in the movie was very important to show that having respect for someone is very important, because oftentimes in relationships, people do not close doors before they enter into another relationships, and down the line it causes a lot of problems for all parties involved, because it could be a party of three or even a party of four. If you're still holding on to a past relationship that you haven't shut the door on yet, and you enter into a new relationship, you're starting that relationship off wrong, and chances are down the line the relationship might not succeed. So I think that was a great job. I think he was very respectful in that matter. He didn't want to hurt her, so he wanted to make sure that he was able to be attentive when he finally reached out to her and give her the attention that she needed and that she deserved. And so those are my thoughts on that.
And so I'll ask you. So this is spur moments I'm thinking, right? So so let's say if you were a guy who was courting you, right, as a woman, speak from a woman, and he pulled out that gesture like, hey, I didn't want to call, don't want to be respectful. How would that make you feel as a woman? How would you receive that?
I mean, initially, if I was expecting the call in 3 weeks, there probably would be some some wondering like, hey, I thought we hit it off. I thought we had a really good time. But when he finally did call, he told me, you know what, I didn't reach out to you in those 3 weeks because I wanted to be respectful to you, because I was finishing up something, I had to take care of a divorce or a separation. I would feel respected. One is because he thought enough of me to, to share that information. And secondly, he didn't deceive me, because oftentimes people are, they're liars and they're deceitful. And when you're that type of person going into a new relationship, you're starting off wrong. So I would be actually excited to know that he cared enough of me to be transparent and to be honest moving forward. That's giving me a foundation to build on, because we always say a house divided cannot stand. A home can't stand without a foundation. So that would be important, learning that about him, that he is a person of character.
And I just like to add to that too. So like as a man, right, when you doing stuff like that, right, when you close the doors, it's showing the women too that he really likes you, right? So he's really, trying to make sure everything is all closed off. He want to make sure that all his attention is on you, right? When I first met my wife, the phrase I used to always tell her was eliminate the doubt. I used to always tell her that, and so I'm pretty sure that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to eliminate the doubt, and so that's when I saw that, I said, "Wow!" Like, okay, but again, Denzel put that in there. He was very intentional in putting that in there because he wanted to show again, hey, ladies, there's black men out there like this, right? He may not be on TV, throwing money, doing crazy stuff, getting your attention, but there is decent black men out here like this. And so that's why I love this movie, because it's showing us in a different image, in a different space. And so that's why I love that part. You want to go ahead?
You just pop up the word respect so everybody can see it wide and big and in large print.
Sure, give me 1 second. And so that's something that you were big on here. Go ahead.
Yes, so respect, guys. The definition: a feeling of deep admiration for someone or something elicited by their abilities, qualities, and their achievements. And so moving forward, oftentimes, I think I was having a conversation with, it was Joy. We were talking about loyalty and respect, right? You can respect someone but not be loyal to them. Does that make sense? And
Yes.
oftentimes people will say, I would rather someone be loyal to me than have respect for me. You understand what I'm saying? And so there's a difference. You have to know what type of person you are, because again, you can respect someone and not be loyal to them, right? Someone can have respect for you but then turn around and stab you in the back. So that's the difference between having respect and being loyal. A loyal person is not going to stab you in the back. So I think for me, both of those are really big. But again, he had enough respect for her to make sure that he shed one another. And so I think Denzel again was very intentional about what he did in the movie. And I think Joy put in that the song for her, I think you just bumped it down. Did you see her choice for her movie in the song?
Oh.
Okay, she said it's a top wedding song, First Dance.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. I did not know that. Okay. Okay. Oh, we got some more comments. Your sis. Hey, sis. Mariah Carey vision of. Okay. Okay.
Okay. My
Okay.
dad said Blackfoot, just one lifetime. Daddy, I need you to sing that song for me, okay?
He will. That Black Jesus, he
Yeah,
will.
for my sister wedding, the father daughter dance, I was like, oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. I remember the song. Crystal, jump on here and tell me the song that you and Daddy danced to at the father daughter dance. The father daughter dance at your wedding. It was so beautiful, and I was like, oh,
Crystal got
tears.
the hands. Hey, the original Black Butterfly. Hey, how you doing? That's my girl right there.
I
Loyalty.
see. Just Law said loyalty is everything. Absolutely.
Yes. And Candy, because I don't want to call it by her government name. I don't want to get the hands put over you. Respect and loyalty means everything to me. Yes, absolutely.
I agree, Candy.
But like it's interesting too though, because when we talk about respect and see, I always see like I like drama. Like I'm just gonna be honest. I like when people argue. I like to see tension because I like to see. I don't know. I think the reason I like to see is because I like to see how people diffuse it too, right? Because a lot of times that interests me. Like when a man and woman and they're in a relationship and they having arguments and they having disagreements, I like to see who will be the first one to diffuse the situation, right? Go ahead.
Are you trying to tell me you like to operate in chaos? Is
No,
that what I'm
no, no,
hearing?
no, no. I told you I'm a little petty. I come from a family full of petty people. So, but no. So like when they had their first disagreement, it was about him not calling her. Right when she was in the hotel,
Uh,
she was stuck in Akron, Ohio. I'm like, wow, out of all places, Akron, Ohio. But he was in the hospital, and so he forgot to call her. And so he was in the hospital checking on one of his men. The men, the wife was having a baby and whatnot, had complications. And so before that happened, they planned to meet up with each other in the hotel. And so this told me a lot about who he was, right? And so he was flat out wrong. Just put it out there. He was flat out wrong, dead wrong, because he did not call her. Got that woman waiting over. I think she wasn't pregnant yet, but she was waiting in that city, right? Hours. She called and she got Chinese food with the candles lit. I'm like, oh, bro, you about to get.
she was in anticipation. She was
Yeah.
excited
I'm
about
like, you
that.
about to get the smoke because you can see, black women, y'all get mad. Y'all like, this Negro bet not. I'm a cousin, So I already, we already seen the crescendo was about to happen, and so when they got on the phone, and he was just telling her what happened, and the first thing she said, she was like, I can't, one of the things she said, I can't do this, and then when she hung, because he was telling her to breathe, and then she was like, he's like, this is the truth. She's like, well, you must have been with another woman or something. And he like, wow, like this is out of nowhere. He's like, well, I can go in the room and get the other guy on the phone. And she's like, you get your soldier to say anything. And so she hung the phone up on him. And what was great about this scene, the next scene, he knew he was wrong. He popped up on her, right? And so they showed him in the room and he goes, she's like, what are you doing here? And he was, when you love, and the point I'm going to make by explaining all this, if you see the movie. So when he was in the room and the first thing he said to her, because obviously you got two things going on, right? She's probably overreacting, right? But she has a right to be upset because you don't have her, you know what I'm saying? And he never got a chance to call her, right? And so what he said to her was, I'm not your father. And it goes back to the first point we were making, because he understood she wasn't all like, ain't nobody's perfect, right? You always say, and I beat this in my head. We all dealing with trauma from childhood, right? And even though it was a movie, but I love that Denzel put that in there. And when he said that to her, you see the energy leave. And she's like, wow, he gets me. So he's like, I'm wrong. I would never. What was the line? Because you love, you.
I absolutely love that. And before I address that, let me just say this, guys. Her reaction to not getting that phone call came, just like Amaru said, it came from a place of trauma, thinking back of the infidelity that her father had on her mother. So by him not calling, him not showing up, her first immediate thought was that he was cheating. And so that's why she was overreacting in that situation, because she was playing that tape recorder back in her mind of the things that her mom went through. But when he walked through that door, a couple weeks later, because they hadn't spoke or talked, and he told her, I love you and I would never leave you. And so that was very meaningful for me, because he let her know that, I'm in it for the long haul. It's me and you, and there is no other woman. I love you and I would never leave you. And so that was pivotal in that movie for me. And so I really enjoyed that part.
And that's what set the tone for me, because I'm like, he really loves her. Like I see with my situation, with my marriage, like when we have disagreements, people can say stuff they don't mean. Like, I hate it. You get on my nerves and all that, but then to get everybody on the same ground, right? And I think a lot, because women, y'all can be mouthy, right? Y'all can be like,
no.
Because what happens a lot.
Is it mouthy or is it being assertive?
I wouldn't say mouth is I would say the wrong term. I would say y'all are more argumentative, right? And so for men, because y'all be talking and we be like, I can't even win, right? And so
we like to debate a little.
But what I'm saying is that the men set the tone. We had to diffuse a lot of that situation. Like, you know what, baby, I love you. And see, when y'all run it off and y'all hear that, you're like, what did he just say? I love you. Like, okay, we good. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now I don't know if it's automatically because I done
The
seen some stuff. Right,
connection, right?
right, right. But I mean, that's what happens a lot of
It's
times, and so that's why I love that part because when he said that, it got her attention. You know, he is like he shot an arrow right through her heart. Like, no, I'm here. Like, I'm my bad. I messed up, but I'm not your father. I would never disrespect. Like it was like man, he went all the way in. So shout out to Denzel for that. So I like that. I love that part. I love that part.
that was amazing. Can we jump down? It's a comment from Donzel. That's my nephew. He's let me. It's actually two of them. Let's read that. Donzel Wilson.
Yes.
Go to the one right above that, if you will, please, and thank you. All
Loyalty
right.
over love.
Loyalty over love. Someone can love you and stab you in the back. Someone loyal to you will always have your back. That was him. There's another one. There's two. I think he was trying to give me the information about Crystal's wedding. So if we can find both of those, it would be great. Should be a couple of.
We got a lot of comments too.
We do. So we want to get to those before we kind of dive back into the reviews.
So because I see my mom, well, shout out to my mom. That's my mom right there, y'all.
Hi, Miss Russell.
Yeah, she still got Russell her name, but I love her. That's my homie right there. I love my mom. I see Denzel. So this one, I see this one. He talking about that's my wife's favorite song. There we go.
Okay, so she said Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye for TT's wedding, and Ain't No Mountains High Enough. All right, okay.
Yeah,
that was the song they danced off of. I think it was two. I think there was another one. Let me just check real quick.
But that part that was very cool to see because you know a lot of times it escalates and then it leads to something else or a domestic situation or police getting involved or some type of violence or you know words being said that you don't really mean, you know, and so I love that. That's why I love that part. And it's funny because what does she say? She said, I like operating no, it's not
true. Chaos. Because really, that's what he was basically saying. He liked to operate in chaos. But I do believe that, you know, when we talk about conflict, people believe that all conflict is bad. That's not correct. You know, some conflict can be healthy if you come to a healthy resolution. Yes. You know, all conflict is definitely not bad. You're going to have conflict in life. You just have to learn how to meet in the middle, agree to disagree, and move on before it becomes, you know, heated.
I have been taught to learn to agree to disagree, but it's hard. See. So, not that I'm saying that women, you know, I'm just saying like when that's happening, because y'all be going 100 miles an hour and we going like 70, and we like, and I ain't finna get a word in. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool.
Let me just tell you about Candy. Me and her been friends for a very long time, so I definitely know her personality. Candy is a little bit more, I'm assertive. Candy's a little bit more aggressive than I am. So sometimes when she gets in a heavy debate, it's hard for her to pull back. But through growth, you know, and over time comes wisdom. And so I'm glad, Candy, that you have learned to agree to disagree. And it's, you know, in life, she said, hush up, Candy. You know, as long as you continue to grow in life, that's all, you know what I'm saying? That's all that we can expect, you know, at the end of the day.
And that's my brother-in-law. Shout out to Mr. Scanlon. How you doing, brother? Help me with all the house stuff around the house. So that's my man right there. True that. And the Scooby-Doo turn around. Right. So, but like so that was my part, you know, when I thought about the first fight. And so I'm like to pivot to one of the next scenes, right? And so it was about when he was asking clarification on the relationship, right? Like, what are we, you know, are we dating? And so for me, I love that. And again, Denzel put this in there intentionally because usually I would say 70% of the time, it's always women asking that of the men, right? What are we doing? You know, are we? And men, we just, you know, usually like, well, I don't know, you know, I got, you know, so I love that he put that in there because again, it's destroying the stereotype that men does not want to be committed, right? We do. We want to be committed. it's men out here like that because again, we have these spaces, internet and whatever, that is perpetuating that black men does not want to be committed. We want to have babies everywhere, that we want to be promiscuous and all that other stuff. And so go ahead. I know you wanted to share some things on this, but go ahead.
Well, I think, let's set the scene of it. When she first met him, it was the spring, right? It was, I believe it was the spring of 98 when she first met him. And so moving down to Christmas time was when he actually asked her, like, hey, I want you to be my
Yes.
girlfriend. And she
Yes.
said, what? We're grown. You want me to be your girlfriend? And he said, yes, I want you to be my girlfriend. And so for her, I think it actually caught her off guard per se because she wasn't really expecting that. And so she did not want to, in that moment, answer the question. She says, well, we having company and, they're getting ready to come on. Can we talk about it later? And he said, why not talk about it, now in this,
Right.
this very moment. So I thought it was very interesting that he asked her that. And again, he was letting her know his intentions for her. He
Yes.
wasn't stringing her along. He wasn't playing games with her. He wasn't manipulating her, and so for her, I think that helped them become closer together, and it helped them also bond. And so that part again was a very important part that I think Denzel made sure that he made us aware of what was happening, as far as their relationship.
Yes. And I would like to add too. Well, I like to ask this question of everyone who's viewing. Um, who was the person, if you're married, right? Who was the person, was it you or your spouse, who defined your relationship? Who asked for clarification? Because I'm trying to remember with my me and my wife, we crazy. We just was just like, we just doing this, and I just popped up one day and just asked her to marry me, right? So I don't even know if we actually had this conversation. She probably had killed me. I don't even know if we actually had this conversation. But I think that was very cool to see that because again, oh wow, Candy said it was her. See, and that's what I'm saying. Like that goes to what I'm asking, right? Because a lot of times, and I'm just being honest, it's always the women that ask, like, what are we doing? Like, I don't want to be, this is 6 months, so that's why I asked that. But go ahead, go ahead.
Oh, I think my question is for you, for who planned the first date? Who planned the first date, and what did that look like?
Because it's been 16 years, so everything is blurred, right? Um, I would say I did
Okay.
because, well, my bad. Let me clarify that. Are you asking the first day before we got married or after we got married?
No, no, no. Like, if you made that connection with someone, when was the first date? How did you know this was the one, and what did you do when you planned the first date?
So actually, so I met her at my cousin's wedding, and our first date was actually the next day.
You move really quick.
Yes, so
You went
I
so
don't want to
fast.
bombard everything. So what happened? I met her at the wedding. I thought she was fly. I flew in from, I not flew in. I didn't even have money. I rode the Greyhound up from Indianapolis to Milwaukee. That's how I met her. She coordinated my cousin's wedding, right? I talked her ear off, right? She's like, she looked at me all crazy or whatever. But anyway, I got her number. So the next day, she was receiving payment for the wedding, and so I happened to see her. And so what happened? She was like, I'm on my way to a furniture store because she was buying furniture for her house, or her apartment, or house. No, it's apartment. And I was like, sure. So that was our quote date because I went to the furniture store with her the very next day. And so I knew, well, I can give you backstory. So at the wedding, I kind of seen her talking to the kids at the wedding. Now, mind you, you got the wedding, everything's going on. She's actually the wedding coordinator. So that caught my eye because I'm like, she could be dancing with all these dudes. She pretty fine, but she over there with the kids. So that said something to me about who she was as a person. So that's what sparked my interest. So the next day when we went to the wedding, I was talking to her about that. Come to find out she was a teacher. So I'm like, oh wow, you can teach my kids. I'm already thinking. So if we have everything, you're gonna teach my kids, right? So you'd be a great mother, right? So I'm thinking that in my head. But also, she made a joke about a headboard, and so it don't, like, for me, I love humor, and so that showed me that she was trying to humor me. She was trying to appease me, and so that's when I thought this may go somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It was a corny joke, by the way, but but yeah, that's when I knew. Well, have you had any instances that were similar to that?
I would say never planned the first date, but I've been out on very nice dates where I felt like I had butterflies in my stomach, and they made me laugh and smile so much till my cheeks were hurting by the end of the date. And so for me, it's like, okay, we have chemistry, we have some sort of connection. And so for I felt connected, so I would say that. I do see that Erica has. I didn't ask. I told him we were in a relationship. I told you we have some very, very assertive women on here. Way to go, Erica.
That's
I have
what's
to
up.
check my phone because it's kind of blowing up over here. So I know it's someone who is sending me something that is not.
Reedy's my
Um,
brother, Tyron Joe checking in. We only commit to the ones that are ready for the royal priesthood. I agree with that. I agree with that. I agree with that.
okay, I'm laughing. This is from my sister who is texting me. She is so hilarious. She said KJ let them know that they were in a relationship because it wasn't her, it was KJ. So he
See,
initiated
that's my
the
man.
relationship.
That's why I love that
Go
dude.
ahead, KJ, or as
Yeah, but
everybody else
Crystal
calls
got
him.
the hands, so he better tell her something. She got the hands.
So yeah, it was definitely KJ. And then the other song she says, she said the other song you're thinking about is Jay Blackfoot. We danced off of that at my mom and my dad's wedding renewal. So
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Mr.
All
Donaldson
right.
checking in. I think she brought the question of definition of our standards. I planned the first day. See, come on, that's what I'm talking about. Brothers out here.
Hi, Sean.
Come on. Come
Thank
on.
you, Sean, for your comment. Also, thank you, Crystal. I don't know where you at. Jump on KJ page and come on in. She doesn't have a Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not going to interpret that. I don't know what she's talking about.
She said, "Come on, Daddy." No, she's talking about my dad. She calls my dad Daddy.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I'm saying. I didn't know. I ain't want to. It went crazy. I'm from the South. I wasn't raised to be intimate with just random. Right on. Right on.
Okay.
Right on. Right on. Right on. Right on.
Well, Eric, I will say that intimacy, doesn't always have to associate with being physical. Physical, it could be, the relationship that you have with the person. But I know long term that you are probably becoming a little bit more affectionate. Possibly, maybe not. But if not, it's okay because again, Erica, we all have different love languages. And one thing that I do know about you, Erica, is that you are a very nurturing person, and so that might just be your love language.
That's dope, though. Lakeisha Austin, Miss Austin. Corey asked his friend, took him up with me, and his friend said no. So he came to my job and asked me out. Okay. See?
Where to go, Corey? Because
That's what I'm saying.
it seemed like your friend was hating Corey, but you still got
Yeah.
what you wanted in the end.
Dry hate. Dry hate. Dry hate. So so we want to pivot a little bit to because this is one thing she wanted to talk about. So we'll talk about it. Intentional. Go ahead, Candace.
Okay, so intentional means being deliberate or, being done on purpose or deliberate. And I think oftentimes in a relationship, people go in the relationship because, they feel like they have some chemistry, they like each other. And in the beginning, it's what we call the honeymoon stage. So during the honeymoon stage, you're talking on the phone all the time, you're communicating with each other. If you're like the modern kids, you're texting each other. And you want to be with each other all the time. You want to spend time with each other. And as you can see right here, Dana was so excited when she got that phone call from Jordan. She's smiling. I can remember, as a young person being on the telephone and actually falling asleep and the other person saying, "Hey, are you asleep?" And you says, "No, I'm not asleep," because you don't want to get off the phone because you want to stay on the phone with that person, And so after that honeymoon stage is over and you feel like you have all these connections and you're together and we are locked in, that's when we actually stop being intentional. We stop checking in on each other and doing things that each other like. And when that happens, a relationship oftentimes will die. And so I'm just saying when you're in a relationship, whether it is boyfriend and girlfriend or you're married, even in a friendship, you have to be intentional in order to keep that relationship going, even with your parents, because a relationship is a relationship. It doesn't matter if it is between two partners, it's still a relationship, and we have to be intentional. What actually keeps a relationship going is the actions and the things that we continue to do for each other.
I bless that. And so this goes with this this comment here. So was it like you say it was like that when you first met? With me, yeah. I remember at the time, it was funny because my friends Paul, shout out to Paul, Jock, JJ, when they found out I was dating her, my wife at the time, when I was dating her, I was living in Indianapolis and she was living in Wisconsin. And so we'd be on the phone all the time. And so they would come over to the house. They'd be like, bruh, you on the phone awfully a lot. I'm like, you know, and so it was kind of like that. And so that's why this movie kind of resonates with me, because some of the things that he was experiencing, I kind of was seeing it in my own life and through my own personal experiences. And so again, it just reinforces the statement that when a man likes you, like, and he's gonna stop time for you, and so
I love that you said that.
Yes, he's gonna. I never forget this. She snuck in town to see me. This is I just thought about this. So I'm outside playing. I stay at Ashton Point. So they had basketball courts on the side, at the end of like a little parking lot of the basketball court. So I'm outside playing basketball with some of the guys, right? And so I go in the house. She snuck in town to see me. She surprised me. And so I go in the house. I'm like, oh wow. So I'm excited to see her, right? And so I'm thinking in my head, damn, do I want to go play basketball? No, I ain't gonna play. So I came back outside and said, yeah, I'm done. I ain't, And so it was kind of that instance, like, obviously you're spending time, you're on the phone, but then you're spending time with them more than with your friends. Some of the recreational activities that you may have or may participate in, you're like, nah, skip that. My lady here. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how it should be, though, right? She shouldn't have to compete with your friends for your time. If she's competing with your friends for your time, then you're not really into it. So that's just how I feel. Like, I've always felt that way. So any remarks,
I do. I want to make sure that they heard that. Men and women as well. He said, if you're really into someone, you'll stop time to be with that person. And I think that is so amazing because, again, it shows that you're being intentional and you know what you want. If you're in a relationship just to pass time, don't waste a person's time if you know that, you're not really into them. Don't do it.
Then we got some comments here. Tyron Joe, I think he's responding back to Erica. Sounds like he wasn't intimate with him.
Oh, Tyron, be nice.
It's nice years in. Nice. That's dope. That is so dope. I love to see stuff like that. That's dope. Okay. Candy McSpine.
Falling asleep on the phone with each other. It's so sweet. Yeah. I loved it. Okay, who do we have? Governor?
My wife and I courted for a year. It took me 9 months to get a kiss. True. And I know that's
I like her. Tell her to high five.
Nikki is a beast.
She made you wait. It's the chase of it all. The one thing that I find out that's happening now, whether it is, women in their 40s or 30s, or even the young girls. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, we did a show with teens on healthy relationships, and one of the young ladies, she's a senior in high school, she basically said that boys don't like to date. They don't want to court you. They just want to text you and say, hi, beautiful, good morning, what you doing? And so even the young ladies that are 16 and 17 and 18, they desire to go to the movies and go hang out at the mall, and everybody, all the kids love Starbucks. These are things that they want. And so if you're entering into a relationship with someone, whether you're young or old, you can't good morning someone to death. You can't what you doing to death. You can't text them and keep saying how beautiful. Be intentional. Set a day. Go somewhere. If your money's not together and you're on a budget, buy something small. Go to a park. It is not, that you have to spend a lot of money. It's the things that you do, that's going to count. So absolutely, women still like to be dated. No one says you have to, spend a lot of money on the first date, but at least set the first date.
Yes. And then, so I like to pivot from that to this right here, because we're talking about the kiss, right? He said he waited 9 months for the kiss. Who initiated the first kiss between you guys? And so I have a vivid memory of mine because it was so funny because, we're older. I was 24. She was 26, right? I had girlfriends, but it was like 2. So like I was, I was always different how I view women, right? And so I remember this like it was yesterday. I come in town and she said something that it made, and I was so mad when she said it. And she saw my face, like, cause and I was about to give her the business. I'm like, hold up, like, what are you talking about? And then as soon as I was about to go in, she lunged in and kissed me, and I was like, where'd that come from? You know what I'm saying? And I was all done. Then I said, I'm not even mad no more. I was like, yeah, come on over here. And that we kissed. And so that's why I asked that question, because when they were at the table, and it coincides with the movie. So they were at the table, and like you said, he said her breath. She said his breath smelled like oregano or something.
Yeah, he had Jordan initiated the first kiss, and once he kissed her, she says, "Wow, you taste like oregano."
But she did that because he was at the table. He didn't, and I think I'm if I'm interpreting this correctly, he didn't make a lot of money because he was in the army. So I don't think his financials was on par with hers, because she was a journalist at the New York Times, and she got a high rise in New York, so she's making nice money. And so he didn't want to. When he said, "I want to wash my cars," he ordered a salad or something. She was about to get upset. I'm like, "Why are you not ordering food?" And he looked at her, and then he was like, "My cars." And then she's like, "Well, I'm just glad you're here." And then he lunged in and kissed her. And so that's what made me ask that, because I think that's funny. Sometimes the first kiss is happens when there's a little tension. Again, me being chaotic and petty and stuff. I love that. But I love that part. But go ahead.
All right, I got another comment. It's just kind of following up when we say be intentional. This is from Crystal. She said, "The Bible says, when I was a child, I behaved as a child, but when I became a man, I put my childish things away." That's from Corinthians 13. And basically, it's just saying that, when you step into that role of dating, that you're a man, you're no longer a child. So put your toys away, put your childish things away, and become a man and actually pursue the woman, right? We're not in it to manipulate and different things like that. So I would say I agree with that. Thanks,
That's a great
Crystal,
comment.
for the
That's a
comment.
great comment too. Crystal with the hands. I see you. I see why you married. You quote scriptures and you knocking folks out. Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay. But brother-in-law, yes. And Tyron, he's making fun of brother-in-law 9 months for kids. But yes, and see, but that goes to how my wife and her did. So that's my wife, that's her sister's husband. And so
Okay.
they are very different. They're very traditional. They were raised in church. And so not that but so they knew what their value was, right? They knew what their worth was. And so like Nikki, I think she's like, and it really kills that 35 and older, because when they got married, they was over 35. So, and I think I think I'm not mistaken, I forget, maybe 5 years now. They've been married for 5 years. And so, no, maybe older, maybe a little longer than that, because little man, Ali, he's like 6 or 7, probably around there. But anyway, she waited. She waited. And see, when you listen to people who tell you that there is no one for you, if she didn't listen, she would probably went haywire. But this, and he, not to tell what happened, but he was in another situation too, and waited to that, corrected itself, and then he pursued her. They went to different churches, and so he's, I think, brother, I think like 40, 49, and she's early 40s. So, and they've been married for, I guess, 6, 7 years. So I hear stories like that all the time. And so when people tell you that you don't have any value, that's a lie. And so, yes, she made that brother wait, but it was worth the wait, because now they have a fruitful and beautiful marriage. And I love seeing them 8 years of counting. Yes. So time flew. I remember being at the wedding and everything. So absolutely. So congrats again to them. Women place their friends above the guy a lot, and once there is a child, the guy takes a back seat there too. I say just pay attention. Women will have the girlfriends of praise. Yeah. I see
Okay,
that a lot of
let me
times.
back up and read this again. Let's see. Women place their friends above the guys. Okay, let me read that again. Women place their friends above the guy a lot, and once there is a child, the guy takes a back seat too. I just say pay attention. Women have their girlfriends appraise you. Well, again, it's for men and women. Make sure that when you're in a relationship, be
Mhm.
intentional. Set aside time for intimacy. Intimacy again does not always mean physical contact. It's spending time with each other, going on a walk,
Mhm.
right? Going on a walk with each other, making sure that you are actually having the time to sit down and prepare a meal together and eating that meal together, maybe going for movies and things like that. Try to find a sitter for the kids so that you guys can bond with each other and still make time to have those connections. So what we have here is a picture of a couple who is outside actually working out and exercising together. In this day and age, we want to maintain our health and be healthy. So if your schedules are super busy, maybe you get up and go, work out at 5 a.m. before you go to work and get the kids off to school. So just make sure that you are actually making time for each other. This is another picture that we have of a couple spending time in the park and enjoying each other. There's always ways to make time for each other. I spoke with someone, and then here's another couple of someone, hugging and showing affection. If it's something that you're really into, you will find the time to make time for that person. And here's a couple that's actually making sure that they are in the kitchen preparing the meal together. Oftentimes, people don't spend a lot of time together because someone is so heavy loaded with the day-to-day responsibilities that they are able to spend time together. So make sure that you are dividing up those household chores so that the other person is not tired and overwhelmed. And then that way, at the end of the day, you do have time to spend with each other, and your mate is not passing out because they have worked all day, took care of the kids, cooked dinner, did the dry cleaning and got all of that stuff together. So just make sure that you make time for each other so that you stay bonded and stay connected.
And see, that's cool because like we all busy, right? Being at home, working, COVID through a pandemic. And so like you have to be creative in spending time. And so that's why I love this comment right here by Tyron Joe. Dating really starts after the wedding, absolutely, because you have to plan and be strategic with your time, especially when you got rugrats like me. Like I waited till 40 to have kids, so this is really I'm really upset about that. But we have to be very strategic with our time, and so sometimes you got to plan out 2, 3 weeks ahead, to plan that wedding, plan not wedding, but plan that date out, have a lunch date, or like you said, go for a walk, or planning, watch this movie. We didn't see the movie together, which is crazy, by the way. I tried to see the movie together, but that's anyway. But we saw the movie. But anyway,
Don't be
uh,
outing you. Don't
yeah.
out her why
But
because she
no.
didn't see the
But
movie with
it was
you.
just by circumstance because we got so much stuff going on. So, but I absolutely love that because that comment, when you're married, you have to find ways to spend time with each other because if you don't, you basically become roommates. That's what you do. You don't be, hey, how you doing, bro? How you doing? You got it's the milk in the refrigerator. You got the cereal. Did you go grocery shopping? And that's it. Ain't no affection. Ain't nothing. So absolutely, you have to be able to uh, check on each other as help one another and plan things to be because basically, like you said, like I'm living it like it's basically I'm just living with another person in the house. Like, no, you don't want that. Like I had roommates before. You don't want that. Like when you're 41, you don't want a roommate at 41. Like if I'm not a roommate at 41, I need to do it by myself, right? So absolutely not. So go ahead.
Let me give you guys a snippet to have to keep you guys connected. Before you leave the house in the morning, before you start your day and go to work, you are supposed to give your spouse a kiss every day before you walk out of that door. That is how you guys stay connected. I know it seems very small and very simple, but that is one of the things that will keep you guys all connected. So just make sure that you try to do that each day.
And I love this comment. You have to work. Folks need to understand. People have to work towards each other. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You make someone for you. Yep, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so this comment right here, you make someone for you. Okay, women outnumber men by 2 million. Folks need to understand people have to work towards each other. Yeah, and let's talk about that. How women are outnumbering men. I know this is kind of off subject just a tad bit,
Uh oh. Here
but
we go. Here we go.
but
Yep. We the
why
smoke.
are
Here comes
why
the smoke.
are yeah, woke up the beast. Why are women outnumbering men? And that is something that actually me and Eugene are going to kind of follow up with in our next podcast. It is because of um the way in our community that people are living their lives. That is why women are outnumbering men. And let me just say this, Black women don't want to outnumber our men. We love you guys. We want you to be healthy. We want you to be safe, and we want you to be here. But because of lifestyle choices, that is why women are currently outnumbered. Black women are outnumbering men.
Can you say that one more time for the people?
Lifestyle
Hold on, no,
choices is
no.
why.
But what you started the phrase off with, say it again. Black women, you love who?
Black women, we love our Black men. We want
Okay,
you to be
say it.
healthy. We
Yes,
want you to be
yes,
safe, and we want you to be here with us.
yes.
Okay. So by no means are we trying to put you on the back burner. Without, if we are not together without each other, there can be no more of us. Understand that.
Okay, I got a couple more comments here. Yes, date even after the wedding, and after that, keep it new. Yes, 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 yes. And then of course she loves to kiss on the forehead. Yes, a kiss. Make sure you tell them you love each other. Yes, yes. And
So
then
can we talk about that forehead kiss just
go
for a
ahead,
moment?
go ahead,
All
go
right.
ahead, go ahead.
So another part, I don't know if you guys seen it or not. It was when they were in the hospital room or the checkup, the doctor's office, and they were getting her physical, her checkup with her pregnancy. And he was kind of like he had a recorder, and he was, recording everything, with the baby, the ultrasound, and different things like that. And so I love a forehead kiss. And so as the doctor was showing them pictures of the baby, the ultrasound, and explaining the parts of the baby, Jordan leaned over and kissed Dana on the forehead, and he said, thank you. And so at that moment, he was basically saying, thank you for being in this relationship. Thank you for being you, but also thank you for carrying my child. And, oftentimes I think we get so comfortable with each other that we don't say thank you for just the small things that we do for each other. So I thought that was really great. And he gave her the forehead kiss. So I about melted. I was like, oh, it's so cute.
Oh, I like to add something too with the forehead kiss. That I'm pretty sure it's the people who watched the movie. Uh, they had a little nick. He had a little nickname for her, and he called her what? Chicken butt.
He did.
And he
He
called her
said
chicken
her
butt.
chicken
And
butt.
so my question is, what type of nicknames do you guys have for each other for your significant other? I used to call my wife Susie Q because her name starts with a Q, so I used to call her Susie Q all the time. But she's like, I don't look like no Susie. I'm like, dang, I'm just trying to. I need to have something. So, but her nickname for me is Sweetie because she says I'm always sweet to her. So I'm always kind of
Oh.
sweet to her. So, but I was calling her Susie Q, but then she got back and like that. So I'm like, okay.
Just to follow up on the comment, hi, Daddy. My dad says praying together is also very important. Yes, Dad. And one thing that my father always tells us, because we have a big family, well, on both sides. He says a family that prays together stays together. A house divided cannot stand, and we all understand that a house without a foundation can't stand. So again, a family that prays together stays together. Thank you, Dad. I do want to follow up. We get a lot of comments from this person. There is not someone for everyone. I don't think that's correct. I'm gonna disagree with you on that one, because there's absolutely someone for everyone. Things change, and seasons change, and in each seasons, just like again a tree. Every season the tree changes, right? And so maybe not in this season you haven't found your somebody, but there is definitely someone for everyone. Okay, so I'll tell you this. There's two things. You can be an optimistic or a pessimistic. Optimistic is going to be that person who always see the glass as half full, and then you have the pessimistic. They're always going to see that glass as being half empty. So it's just how you look at things. And just because you go through seasons where sometimes you're up and sometimes you're down, it's just like that even in the financial world. Sometimes you have a whole lot of money, and sometimes you don't have a lot of money. That's just like if you play in the stock market, you out there, you're taking a chance. So just kind of view it like that. Like, I can be this person that looks at the glass as being half empty on the pessimistic side, or I can be this person who looks at the glass as being half full. Just have a little faith. That's
I
all. That's
think
what I'll say.
And I think this comment, your dad is making this comment, is about praying in the morning or before bed. So I told you he black Jesus. I'm like, he gets a couple Jesus, the black one, the Mexican, and the white one. He black Jesus. He got it going on. I want to be like him. Tyra and Joe, that forehead kiss will take him like every. Yes, it does. And
It will.
I give it to
It's
my daughters too. My daughter all the time. When I'm correcting her, I still kiss her on the forehead. So she be like, Dad.
Mhm.
I'm like, but I'm trying to show you that how I'm supposed, conduct myself and show my affection towards you. So absolutely, go ahead. Go ahead.
And not only that, you're showing your daughters how a man's supposed to love a woman. I'm just gonna tell you, my dad and my mom gave us some high self-esteem.
Oh, because Black Jesus. So Big Daddy, you might just put AKA Black Jesus. So that's what we call him. I can't wait to meet him in person. Never go ever. Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that.
God never meant for men to be alone. You know what, Daddy? Thank you. I think oftentimes people really get that in their head that, I don't need this person or I don't need anybody. That's not correct. I often refer back to, you guys remember Will Smith movie? Yes, I'm talking about Will Smith because I still like Will Smith. Do you remember his movie where it was it Iroh? What movie was that?
when he was
When
by himself,
yes,
I am
do you
legend. I think it's I
I
am.
Am Legend. Yes, viewers, if you think back, if you watch I Am Legend with Will Smith was, I think he was in the military. He was some sort of scientist, and everybody got sick, and people died off, and he was by himself. And for a very long time, he was going into that store where he was talking to the mannequins. And when you say that you don't need anybody, eventually you're going to want that love, you're going to want that affection. So whatever is around you, you're going to start talking to. He were talking to things that absolutely could not talk back to him. But we are humans. We are not meant to be alone. We are meant to have a mate, and at the end of the day, we want that. We want that love. We want that affection. I think oftentimes we begin to convince ourselves that we're okay being by ourselves. That is not the way that we're meant to be. It's two. We come in pairs, right?
Yes.
There's a he and there's a she, and we absolutely come in pairs. So if God wanted us to be alone, He would have just made one, not two. Okay, we're pairs. Okay, so
Oh, I think he's referring to your sister. See, look, they didn't want to hook up on here. Look at this. Look at this.
you said, well, who says what did they say?
It's the young lady on the panel taking or free.
Oh,
But that's cool. That's what it's for, right?
we gonna answer that on another show.
But let's keep.
Now, I'm blushing now. Don't make me blush. My
Yes,
t-shirt's gonna
yes,
hurt.
yes.
Okay, never ever go to bed upset or mad at each other.
I love that.
One thing, my mom, thanks, Shalon. My mom always told us her grandmother, my mom's from the South, and she said I think it's either her grandmother or her grandfather said, don't ever let the sun go down and still be mad at your significant other. Because as we know, like, whether you know it or not, when we go to sleep at night, we one step closer to death, right?
Yeah.
We don't know if we're going to wake up the very next morning. So make sure that you are not, if you have had a disagreement, make sure that you guys find a way back to each other. And again, give that forehead kiss. Women can give the forehead kiss too. Make sure that you forgive each other before you go to bed at night.
Yeah,
Hi,
I don't know if that'll resonate with the dude. The girl, she gave me play. I'm gonna be like, "What you doing?" Like, yeah. For me, I'm just saying, just give me a dap or a head. No, I'm joking.
Okay, Joy says, "Human touch, the human experience." Yeah, absolutely. I do want to share this real quickly since we're still talking about the movie. One of the most touching parts of the movie for me was when Jordan was actually writing in his journal to his son. He said, "Love is a choice. Real love means you have to make sacrifices." Okay, I'm sorry. Love is a choice, but real love means that you have to make sacrifices, but pain is temporary. Real love lasts forever. And so I thought that, that was very important for him to leave that information in his journal for his son. Love is definitely making a sacrifice. Eugene, what are some ways that you think that you made sacrifices for your family?
Ooh, man, I can go for days. So one sacrifice off the top of my head was that moving here, right? When I first met my wife, I moved. I left my everything I knew. I left my friends. I left my environment. I left the state of Indiana. I left my mom, my sister, my nephew at the time. It was only two. Well, actually two of them. Shout out to Quantez. Also, he said, "What's up?" Oh, I saw the comment. But I left all of my friend, all of that, what I knew, and sacrificed that to be with her. And so, and moved here to Wisconsin and started all over. Like, I didn't have a job when I moved here. I was staying with my auntie for a little while because we wanted to be, right. And, I didn't want to be cohabitating, living with her until we were actually married. And so we did things the right way. In some relationships, I had to sacrifice because, when you're moving in that space, everybody can't go with you. You understand what I'm saying? And so it was some things like, I'm like, that's not a good look. I also sacrificed, I had a lot of things. I had like feelings I had to sacrifice for myself because like I didn't want her to see that side of me. And so some things I had to correct myself, right? I sacrificed jobs, right? When I was working in Chicago, and it wasn't the best move for our family. And so I had to come back home, and I was ate me up for a little bit, but it was the best move for our family, right? And so that's how I had to get to a bigger picture. Like, no, some of these things you will have to sacrifice for the benefit of the family, the household, and that's going back to the end of the movie. We'll talk about it a little bit why I love the movie. But go ahead. Anything that you sacrificed that you have in your any past relationships?
I would say I know that for me, I am a person that loves to seek education, and I think after I got my master's, I wanted to go back and do a little bit more education. But I do know at some point, you have to make sure that you are in the workforce and that you are earning income. So I would say putting that doctoral degree behind for just a tad bit to make sure that I was kind of focused on on family. So yeah, I would say that. But I do know when we talk about sacrifices, Jordan talked to Dana, and he told her that I would never ask you to move from New York and quit your job as a journalist because I know that you love and you desire to be a journalist. So I would never ask you to do that. And so just again putting it out there, he made the decision to actually move where she was. So he met her where she was at instead of asking her to transition.
And see, that's why I love and so before we now, I want to put this out there because we're not anywhere near to be ending, but this is actually a true story. And so this is the actual picture of them. And so they showed it at the end of the movie. If y'all watched the movie, I'm pretty sure some of y'all did, but just putting it out there. But and it's real life for me because some of the things that he was doing, like you said, he wouldn't ask her to quit and move her. I said the same thing to my wife. Like, I would never ask you to uproot your life for me. I would do that for you because I'm a man, right? I believe that with men we should be able to move around because we're men, we're resourceful, right? It wasn't. I looked at this not that she wasn't resourceful. I thought that would be selfish for me to have her move where I was at, right? And so I'm like, if it don't work, I can always move back home. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I took that approach to that. But go ahead. I know you want to say something.
No, I'm just listening.
Okay. But with that being said, there's some other things we like to talk about too. And you talked about this scene, and so I took this picture right here because I'm still technically challenged, y'all. So don't laugh at me. But I upload videos next, so I'm gonna get it down sooner or later. But this is an interesting scene to me, and so he was in the room talking to her, and they were talking, and then what ended up happening was he left and they gave each other kisses. So it was actually the last scene that she saw him. So that's the last time she seen him. And so when he's walking downstairs, he's in the elevator. You see him probably running through his mind that he got his papers for Iraq. And so he goes to the doorman. He salutes the doorman, right? The doorman salutes him. And then he says to the doorman, "Take care of my girl while I'm gone." And so he's leaving out the door. Now it's the last scene of him getting in the taxi cab. And so I was about to talk about this earlier, but the reason I want to bring this up, it was that a lot of times Black men, we take on the world. We take on a lot of causes, right? And we're walking through life like, shielded soldiers. And justifiably so, right? Because we're warriors in by nature and by mindset. But a lot of times, and what ended up happening at the end of the movie, which was sad for me, and I actually kind of cried a little bit because I'm like, wow, like, because he left the home that he built, even though they were married, right? And what happened, they didn't end up getting married because she wanted the big wedding, right? And so he was like, okay, whatever, let's just make a baby, whatever. And so the reason that she wanted the baby was because she wanted something to remember him by, just in case he passed away. And so as he's leaving in that taxi cab in this scene, this was fitting to me because he's putting his hat on and he's walking away and he's going to war, right? He's going to war for a country, but for the United States. But as he's leaving the home fatherless, and that male role model is not in that home. And so as the movie progresses, you see the effects that it had on her and him and his son. And so that's why he left the journal to he'd speak affirmation and life into his son. And so that was fitting for me because I was just like, wow. Like I remember times my father wasn't in my life till I was 19, but it was times I wanted my father to say things to me like, "You're a strong black man. What love is," just to talk about those different things. And so that's why it was beautiful for me. But it also taught me a lesson too. The team that you need to die for, if you're going to, just metaphorically, if you're going to die for anything, it's the home team, not the team out here. The team where everybody has your last name. You understand what I'm saying? That's the team that matters most because, again, he passed away in the end, and it was kind of sad. But you understand why he did because he had great intentions. And then and then another scene when he passed away, when he was on the field and the bomb went off. I think it was an explosion or whatever. Mm-hmm. What did he do? The first thing he did was pull out the picture of his son and his girl, and so that was the last image that he saw, ahead of them. And so it spoke a lot to me. Like he knew that was most important. He probably, his mind knew, like, I kind of shouldn't have done this, but at the end, he knew what mattered most, and what that was that. And so that was my thoughts. But go ahead.
Remember we talked about, just to follow real quick, self-preservation. In the end, you want to make sure that you're making it back home to your family. So self-preservation is definitely important. I will also say that, as they were, saying their goodbyes when they were in the living room, he asked her, "Hey, let's get married. Let's just do it now." And she was like, "No, I can wait the 6 weeks until you get back, until you return to me." So I just, on that note, I would say, oftentimes people say, "Are you going to go to church?" "Oh, when I get right with the Lord, I'm gonna go to church." I hear people say that. "Oh, when y'all are gonna get married?" "Oh, I want to get my finances in order. I want to build a bigger house. I want to get a promotion at my job. I want to buy another car." If you really love someone and you want to be with that person and you want that person to be your life mate, don't continue to put off, getting married or making that commitment to each other. We are not perfect. None of us are perfect, but in some things that we do, we are perfect. And I'm going to say this. I know, Michael Jordan probably wasn't a perfect person, but I think that he was perfect in basketball. So we are not perfect humans, but in some areas of our life, we are definitely perfect. And so if you really love someone, you want to be with that person, don't put off what you can have. And in the end, I was very tearful when he did not make it back home, and he did what he thought he needed to do. He actually proposed to her, and she had the excitement about it, but she wanted to wait until he came back. So just don't put things off.
But that's what made it it was a great movie, a wonderful storyline, very great, interesting plots, and dilemmas throughout the movie. And so that's why I thought it was a good choice to discuss. But we also have some topics that we want to discuss too, really quick, right? And so let's go with the first one here. And so before we close with the movie, did anyone have any thoughts? I'm pretty sure none of y'all watched the movie, but I'm just saying, if you did, what were your thoughts on the movie? And before we get to that, I know we got some comments coming in.
We do have a lot of them.
So, don't be scared. Inquiring minds trying to see it come. Oh, okay. See, they trying to date. I don't know what they.
I will have to, shout you out. You over here trying to get you a date. You a brave man.
Death, life and death, and the power of the tongue. That's Papa Wilson right there. Black Jesus. We'll leave and please. Yes, and look now. It wasn't. It was a big deal then, but now I'm glad I did it because 17 years later, look what we've built. So I am very proud of that. I tell her that all the time, though. You get into her moments. I left. Do you know what I left? I left Etna for you. Do you know what you're talking about? But yeah, so yes, it is a major sacrifice. Provide, probably good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. Yes.
Oh, you know what? That's correct. I'm sorry. I get messages on my phone. This is from Crystal. She basically said, to let the viewers know that when he went off to the war, because he didn't know what the war would look like for him, he made sure that he put all his affairs in order so that he could properly take care of Dana and his son, and he also left them an inheritance.
Yes.
So it's very important. I know oftentimes people leave home, during the day, and we all don't know if we're going to make it back home to our loved ones, and so it's very important to make sure that you have a will, you put things in, because you don't have to go to war to not make it back home at the end of the day. Make sure you have a will, and you're providing and taking care of your family, because in your absence they're still going to need things. So a true man or woman leaves an inheritance for their family, and the Bible speaks of that. And I see you, Joy. She said, "Say that, Candy." Thank you.
Perfect as scriptures be mature. Mark the perfect man. So people definitely have to stop looking for flawless. That's just one definition. I like that. I like that. Yeah. Mature.
Okay.
Yep, being mature in your mindset and in your thinking. But we would like to pivot. So that was our thoughts on the movie. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We have some terms we want to talk about real quick. And so like now, I'm gonna be honest with you. So like some of these terms, she just threw these out there before before we were prepping, and so I'm enlightened because I didn't really know what these meant, and so I'm glad that she's covering them so I could be a little bit informed. I had kind of had an idea, but I'm glad she wanted to be technical and define them. But go ahead, Candace. Go ahead.
I'm going to define them for you, but since I'm not a male, I'm not going to speak to that. I'll let Amaru speak to that. So, an alpha male is a dominant male in a particular group. He is considered to have an influential personality, and so I'll let Amaru just speak to you guys about what he thinks an alpha male
I
is.
would not to boast, but I think I am an alpha male. I trust me, like I've always had an alpha male personality. It's just someone who dominates the environment, right? And so I've always been that person, that male, and not just with my own group, like because I always have my circle of friends, but just throughout any group, because I've always had that personality to dominate conversation, dominate topics, just. So yes, I totally understand this. So I kind of knew what this definition was, but there is not a lot of alpha males. I'll just be honest with you, because alpha males know what alpha males act like. And I tell this to my little cousin this all the time. I used to tell him this all the time. I said, sharks know what sharks look like, right? Because sharks, you can see a shark coming. You can tell by the fin, and you can tell the way it moves. It moves really slow, right? That's how an alpha male is, right? You know an alpha male when you see one, right? By the conversation, by the way they conduct themselves. But then we have these other males, and I didn't know the definition of this one. And go ahead.
Let me ask you this. So would you say an alpha male is a person who has leadership skills?
You can be an alpha male and not be a leader. I would say that. I would say that because I know a lot of alpha males who don't have leadership skills.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? So yes, that is not necessarily. I would say half and half. I would say half and half.
Okay. Would you say that alpha males have toxic characteristics?
People have toxic. I have a lot. Trust me, and I have to deal with it every day because I've been wanting to say. I'm like, but I have to dial myself back. Yes. So we have. I'm just be honest. Some of us do, and the ones that's different is the ones that recognizes that. Like I know for myself, I can be very toxic. I know who I am. So I have to be like, I fight myself every day. So trust me. But it's some that's not too. Like some that I know that has alpha personality and they're alpha males, but they are not toxic. Now, not that I know of, that I've seen. So absolutely, yeah, it could be both. It can go hand in hand. Yes.
Okay. All right, guys. So a beta male is a subordinate man in a particular group, seen as passive, subservient, or weak. And again, I'm not a male, so Amari, will you speak to that?
I've seen, yeah, there's a ton of them out here. I would, because I don't like to generalize, but I know a bunch of beta males, and like for me, because of the personality that I have, I don't talk with them a lot. Like I don't talk with them every day because I can sense that. Like for me, I like sharks run with sharks. I have to run with sharks because if I run with betas, like I'm like it won't. It's just like oil and water for me. So it bothers me too because I get instantly upset like because I'm like you ain't like you really ain't about what I'm saying that. So that's how I am. So like the conversation would turn me off. What we're talking about would turn me off, right? Because I'm talking about stuff and I'm talking about life, like things like this. Like I'm comfortable enough to talk about relationships, right? Beta males don't really talk about stuff like that. They talk about brass level dumb stuff. Like that's how I interpret it. Go ahead.
Surface information.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. And the last definition, well, yes.
Can you throw our picture up there first of all?
Yes.
Okay, so I think most of you know who this is, but if you don't, I'll explain it to you. This is Sierra and her family, and that is also Russell Williams. So the definition that we picked was simp, and so Amaru said, Candace, I keep hearing people call, guys simp. What is that? What does that even mean? I don't even know if I even heard of that before. I said, well, simp has been out for a long time. They said that when we were growing up. So just really wanted to clarify the definition of simp. In the Webster's dictionary, it basically say a silly or foolish person. However, in the Urban Dictionary, what they had for simp in the Urban Dictionary basically says someone who does way too much for a person that they really like. And so I just wanted to kind of clarify that and kind of speak to that because that has been all over social media. People have been talking about it a lot. It's kind of like a hot topic. So I really just kind of wanted to follow up with it just because we were talking about, what love is and, talking about the movie. And so for me, I wanted to just say, like when you work at a job or you have a career, oftentimes in your workplace, your boss gives you a promotion or they give you a bonus or they give you a raise. And when your boss gives you a raise and they promote you, they do it because they like you. They like your behavior at work and they like your performance. So they are giving you something. And just if you have children, when your kids do good at school, when they perform, when they make good grades, you reward them because of their performance, because you like their behavior. So giving people things because you like who they are, you like what they've done, does not make you a simp. So I just really want to clarify that we should never call our Black men simps because they're taking care of their family. They're taking care of their responsibilities, and so that just means that you want to provide a good life for the person who takes care of you and your children. Even if you don't have children, some families are not blessed with having kids biologically, but you are a mate, you're a team. You're supposed to look out for each other. By no way should we be calling, women or men that take good care of each other simps. I think that's just preposterous. And so I'll kind of let Eugene give his take on it, but I just know it's kind of been flying around a lot lately.
Yeah, so like, and I made a post about this a couple weeks ago, and it kind of bothers me because I talk to a lot of married men, like married couples. Like a lot of my, like I say about 75% of the guys I speak to are married, right? And so that's interesting that you will get labeled negatively for pushing your wife forward, for wanting your wife to succeed, for wanting your wife because you like your wife a lot, or you love your wife, that you labeled as a simp. And I think that's interesting because so I was raised by another man, right? And my stepfather is one of the sweetest men you'll meet, heart of gold, but he would cuss you out in a minute. right? And he was protective over our family, right? He raised two kids that wasn't his, along with my mom, with the one he had with my sister. He had with my mom, and so I think that's interesting that this came from black men because when I think of Russell Wilson, he got labeled lame and a simp, and I'm like, well, I've never heard white men refer to each other as refer to family men who are providing structure and foundation to their family unit as simps, but black men refer to each other as that. Like that's mind blowing to me, and that is so destructive. That mindset, because then if that's a simp, then what are you saying? We're not supposed to want a wife, and we're not supposed to like your wife and like a woman and be in love with a woman. So we're supposed to denigrate the woman, and then time out. You came from a woman. So if that's the mindset, then you're talking about someone disrespecting your mother or your sister or your grandmother or your auntie or cousins that are females. And so that's why that bothers me a lot. And that is so dysfunctional. Like we are not a lot of us, some of us are so dysfunctional and backwards in our thinking. It is so detrimental to our culture because that is not that is not culture. What culture is building legacy, building wealth, building foundation, building memories, positive memories, not dysfunction, not uh twerking and all this. Like I call it nigga stuff. Like I don't I think that is totally dysfunctional because what happens a lot of times when you keep regurgitating that and keep pushing that forward, what gets pushed to the back? Your family unit. Mm-hmm. And see, we seeing it happening today. You let other things enter into the culture, and now your foundation is broken, and so now you're questioning where are the men at? Where are the women at? You're questioning each other, right? Because you're denigrating what needed to be sufficient in running the household. You're denigrating the image of what it's supposed to look like. I've never seen that with any other group of people but our people. And so when we talk about Sims, that is totally bad. I had a conversation with my barber real quick because he posts pictures with his wife all the time, right? This is
you said who was it?
My barber.
Oh, okay.
And this was like almost a year ago. And I said, Dre, that's his name, Dre. Shout out to Dre. I said, that's really cool that you do that, the images that you post with your wife. I said, because we need to see that. He said, and Dre is almost 50 years old. He said, you know what? He says, people my age who criticize me for doing that. And I was like, really? Like, wow. So that's like, and to see, so me and Candace have access to the page, to the Black Butterfly page. And so we both have access to it. Anytime that I'm coordinating the page, I'm going to love any picture that shows a black man and a black woman showing as a family and a unit. Family pictures, anything like that. Because it needs to be reinforced that positive reinforcement, positive images are a part of our culture. So I'm sorry for ranting and Raven, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I just really think again that it is important that we uplift each other. We put positive messages out there. Can't have that tunnel vision. Our people are so quick to celebrate dysfunction, but if you say something positive, they're like, oh, that's not real or that's not reality. When in turn, our kids are just going to regurgitate what we keep telling them and what we keep teaching them. Just like, like a plant. If you plant a seed and you water, it's going to grow, and a seed of negativity, whether it's positive or negative, whatever you plant is going, they're going to continue to kind of regurgitate that, whether, again, if it's positive or negative. So we just have to make sure that we're not celebrating dysfunction. It's out there. We can't turn a blind eye to it, but let's make sure that we're putting out more positive things than we are negative things. Let's start celebrating positivity. Just like you said, Eugene, if you post a picture of, a husband and wife or grandparents or a family, it may get 10 likes, 50, but if you post a video of people fighting each other, arguing, something disruptive, you're going to have 700 likes. It just shows you sometimes where people are at mentally. They cannot find their way around celebrating positive things. They'll make sure they want to focus more on the dysfunction. So we just have to just be very mindful of that.
We do. We define beta men negatively. There are such great qualities of beta men. No, excuse me. I've never said for me because yes, they are great beta men. I've never said. Let's clear this up. So because of where I'm moving towards, right? So I like to have higher level conversations, right? And I think you sent me a video of this one time when the young lady was saying, "Hey, when I speak to someone back home versus the U.S., it's more like stranger like, like."
Oh, yeah, I did see she was from Africa. I sent Eugene a video of a young lady from Africa. She said that at home, if she speaks to someone, they're going to be friends for a lifetime. They're going to break bread together. They're going to eat together and everything. But here in the States, she said she went to college with some students and she spoke to them and kind of collaborated with them. And then 2 weeks later, after the program, the program of the class was over, it was like they had never even met her. So she felt a disconnection. That's basically what she was saying.
And so I've said that to say this. I'm glad you explained that. So when I'm talking with men, but just networking period, or I could be with some friends or whatever, or wherever I'm at, I can sense that. And so for me, this is me personally, I don't like having grass level conversations. That's just who I am. I think when you're a certain age, right, this is just how I am. So this is how I've evolved, right? And I get it. Everybody evolved differently, grew up differently. But for me, I hate having grass level conversations because it's to me, it's a waste of time. And I think I think at a certain age, you should be evolving into higher level conversations. You should be a little more savvy in your thinking. My mother used to always call it deductive reasoning. You should be able to deductively reason about I get it. Some people say the sky is blue. Some think say the sky is black, right? So you're going to see it differently. But for me. So when I talk to beta men, I sense that immediately. So I'm like, that's just me personally. So that no disrespect to any beta men out there. If you they're still great. I'm just saying for me, I like to have higher level conversations because I think iron sharpens iron. That's how I am. So
yes, absolutely.
So we've unwound a lot of stuff in this broadcast.
Can we jump to before we finish up to Erica's comment? I think it's
Oh, here I see it.
Okay, so thanks for the comment, Joy. And here's Erica. It seems that so many of us come from broken families and we don't know what a healthy relationship between a husband and a wife looks like in a loving way, and it looks very unfamiliar to some men. They have only seen and been taught male aggression towards women, so they may look it may look like strength to them. You know what? Yeah, and I think we have to kind of understand that people can only give you what they have. You understand? So if they were raised a certain way, whether it's men and women, I remember a time, I'm not going to say the names of them, but it was someone that was actually close to my sister. And at the time, people were mad at this guy for saying that. He made a comment, and again, guys, I'm just a messenger. He made a comment, and he basically said that I do not date women who come from broken homes. And at the time, we were kind of younger, so all of the ladies were we were young adults, they were mad. You understand? They were mad at him for saying that. But we have to remember that is his preference, because just as Erica said, that sometimes people come from broken homes, and so they can only give you what they have. So the goal for myself and Maru, the reason we started the podcast, it was not to put men against women. That's not our goal. Our goal is to make sure that we share positive information about healthy relationships that that build us up and help us to stay connected. And anything that we can do and any information that we can give you guys, we're definitely willing to do that.
And I love that because, but I would say this too. Yes, we all come from. A lot of us have come from broken homes. I came from a broken home, but that's still no excuse for you to be perpetuating the same behavior. You understand what I'm saying? And I didn't know what a marriage like. I seen my mother was married to my stepfather, so I seen what it looked like, but I didn't see like as far as how to conduct themselves on a daily basis. Like I'm still learning today. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm still learning today. Yes, 16 years in, I'm still learning. Like I learned a lot from my brother-in-law or from her parents or older. That's why I believe in if you're married you need an older couple who's been married
Um,
30, 40 years around so they
mentor.
can teach you things. Like you're going to learn not to like one thing, like we real quick, me and my wife she used to get mad at me a lot because I didn't like watching the same thing she did. And so we would be in different rooms watching TV, watching shows and stuff. And she was like, "Isn't that weird?" And then so we got to see other people. We got to see other marriages and talk to other people. And they're like, "No, that's normal." And she's like, "Oh, I didn't understand that." You know, we were very young. And so, but that the silly arguments like that. Now, if you look at us now, she's upstairs, I'm downstairs, I'm watching sports. And she'll be like, "Well, I don't like sports, but come up because I want you in the same room. We had kids running around and all that." So, but it's little things like that. Like, you know, the perception of we got to be in the same room, watching the same thing. You know, no, that's not true. You don't have to do things like that. And so those things now we had learning over the years, so absolutely. But so I love that comment, but also I'll also rebut it a little bit and just say, hey, it's still no, it's like even though you came from broken homes, we don't see healthy relationships, but it also is no excuse for you to perpetuate unhealthy relationships. You want to grow and evolve and look for guidance in other ways too. So absolutely. And so we hope that this has been beneficial, right? And so we're going to pivot to some of our normal escapades, right? And so we're going to go with the word of the day, which was resilience. And in Swahili, it's I don't know if I pronounced this correctly, habidi, and it means the ability to withstand or recover quickly from a difficult condition or situation. And quickly before you go, the reason behind having Swahili interpretation of the word is because Swahili is one of the languages back home, and so that's why I practice Swahili a lot, and so I have to do a legal app, and so that's why I wanted to have some of that flavor into our podcast. But go ahead, thanks. Go ahead.
All right. So the choice behind resilience today is our word of the day is because watching the movie The Journey of Jordan, I picked resilience because even in the movie, Jordan himself had to be resilient, and also Dana actually wrote a letter to her son, and she basically said, if you're reading this, we have gotten through a very tough couple of years, and so she had to learn to be resilient. She's still a journalist. She has this new baby. The love of her life just passed away, and so she had to endure all of that pain, but in the end she was able to raise her child and kind of get through things, and she, it's based on a true story, and she wrote a book, and she is still, doing well. And so that was the reason behind resilience as our word of the day.
And then we'd like to pivot to, so we don't have any eye candy, right? Because Candace with her shoes, she has so many pairs of shoes, like she couldn't, right? So we would like to pivot to our Black entrepreneur of the day, and we would like to go with our friend.
All right. So our entrepreneur of the, you have the picture?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So our entrepreneur of the day is Candy Butler. Candy Butler makes fun. She is a owner of a boutique called Lavish Couture Boutique. You can find it on her website. It's listed down at the bottom. So please go and check her out. She's also on Facebook, but go to her website, see what she has. This is for well, I guess it could be it's for ladies. So men, jump on there and order your ladies something. Ladies, you get on there and order something as well. And so that is our vendor for the week.
Yeah, Candy, you got to make something for the fellas too. So we can't be walking around with, I'm just throwing. Let me do a quick one there. But that is cool. And then so some housekeeping notes going forward. I will, because today is May 15th, and so I'm always, I'm little Malcolm X myself. I'm running around causing riots and stuff. But again, just a reminder that this man's birthday is coming up in 4 days, and so Black people, please, please, please take the day off. Like, if you got to call in sick, because again,
He's
like
coming in to call in sick.
I'll call in sick in a minute. I'm just saying, but um, if you get the time, please recognize this man's birthday because he was one of the greatest minds that ever walked this earth. I ain't saying Black my minds, period, to walk this earth. And so I would love for us to, because some of us want to celebrate Juneteenth, and now we're doing, we are. So please recognize this man's day because he was a beautiful mind. Also, I would like to pivot over into recognizing this other, but it's kind of interesting that they were born in the same month. Louis Farrakhan, he just celebrated his 89th birthday. So happy birthday, Honorable Minister Farrakhan. I'm not a Muslim, right? But I just love this. I love their message. I love what they stand for. I love this man because some of the things that he did with our Black people, opening Black businesses, getting us cleaned up, looking classy and whatnot, and being for each other. So I love what he stands for. I love the work that they do. And so I would love one day before he passes because, he brought 1 million. Think about this, Black people. He brought 1 million Black men to the Capitol. That's never been done before and since. No matter how you feel about him. You understand what I'm saying? That's some powerful stuff. And so I always give this man his flowers. I look at his messages all the time. And so, yes, happy belated birthday. Soul Day, the universe spun 89 times for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. You got anything to add?
I have some shout outs. I just want to shout out my nephew, Leonard Jr. No, it's Trey Leonard Wilson III. Happy birthday, nephew. Love you
Yes.
very much. And then also my friend and my hairstylist, Taquisha, it's her birthday today. Happy birthday, Taquisha. We actually all got together last night for a game night. And actually, Joy is on here. I can't see if any of my other girls are on there. Joy asked everybody in the beginning, who's competitive? Who's going to be competitive tonight? And, a lot of people raised their hands. Some people didn't. But if you know anything about game night with friends and family in a Black household, you know that it is very, very competitive. So it was definitely a good time.
Oh, that's cool. Cool. I would also add some more housekeeping notes. So we got those days coming up. But then what's coming up after that is these young two Rugrats are getting married.
Not the Rugrats.
I don't call them Rugrats, but that's my cousin and his wife of a fiance. I call her cuz already. So Ariane, they're getting married May 21st this Saturday. So we will be there. It's in the Indianapolis area. So shout out to them. I love them. They are so funny. They are hilarious. They play pranks. So I still ain't forgot that prank y'all played on me. So I'm gonna get y'all back for that. But then we got some other dates coming up, and so I would like to give these two also a recognition here. James and I want to say I'm gonna pronounce it correct. Tonya. I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing it wrong. These two, right? And so the reason I'm bringing these two up is because they have businesses that is conducting, there's organized and will be alive and well on Juneteenth. And so what I'm speaking of is this. Both of them. They are orchestrating Juneteenth, which is the celebration of our independence on June 19th. Was actually June 18th, which is a Saturday, but it's actually Juneteenth the next day, June 19th. And so I went to it last year. It was wonderful. It was like I almost started crying. So I'm like, wow, this is cool. But so he had vendors there, live band. You had the basketball court out, so you could shoot some hoops. They wanted to do a parade, but it started raining. But he had people selling T-shirts, jewelry. You had poets out there. You had people who have authors out there. It was just wonderful to see. He had the food trucks, the vegan food truck. He had the regular food trucks out there. So it was a historically well-ran event. And so with that being said, his wife is over the this right here. This is being added this year, the Miss Indy Juneteenth Scholarship Pageant. And so I give them a lot of love for this because, it takes a lot of organizing, fundraising to, conduct things like this. They're hustling all year round just to bring this stuff together. I think they're doing it through the whole week. And so it culminates Juneteenth, but the pageant is actually May 29th. And so please support them because they are from Gary, Indiana. I don't know if Tiny's from Gary, Indiana, but he's from Gary, Indiana. He's a fellow work alumni trooper. And so this is pretty cool seeing these things happening in the state of Indiana, not in Gary per se, which I would love for it to happen, move that way, but it's in Indianapolis. And I know a lot of people live in Indianapolis. And so please support them because this is huge. He was doing this before it became a federal holiday. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. He was conducting game nights. They were having movie night and stuff throughout the week. So he uses that money to raise funds for Juneteenth and now for the scholarship pageant. And so they are wonderful people. They are doing their thing. I'm happy. I'm trying to go this year, and so please support them. That's all I'm trying to say. But then with that, on the same day as the Juneteenth celebration on the 18th, is this, right? The comedy show, which is our friend Antoine. And so I will have you talk about how good of a time you had, even though this is the second time we'll be talking about it. But he's having another comedy show, which is on June 18th, the same day. So it's going to be a busy day for us. We're going to be traveling. We're going to be networking, having fun, eating. Well, I don't know about you. I'm going to eat some barbecue. So, but go ahead, Candace. Go ahead.
All right. So yes, Laugh Out Loud comedy show. We went what's almost a month ago.
Yeah.
Amaru, myself, my sister Crystal, and her husband KJ. We went, and I'm just going to tell you, if you guys are local in Gary, or if you're from Gary and you live in Indianapolis, please go out and support the comedians were absolutely funny. I was in tears. We had a super good time. There was no violence. Everybody got along. They had vendors there. They had food there, and it was just a real good time. So if you are available on those days, come out and join us.
And you see, the headline is hot sauce. So he was one of the comic. So
Okay.
you see, he's escalating, moving on up. So that is great to see. So obviously I have to throw them in there and support our people. So this is what we want to do. And so shout out to them again for doing their thing. And I'm just so proud of them, the brothers and the queen that's with them. So anyway, we'd like to pivot to closing remarks because I know this is a bit long. We didn't want to run this long, but it was a great topic, great show. So did you have any closing remarks?
I do. I really just want to give a shout out to Eric. Eric says that my frat will be giving out the scholarships for the pageant. So good. Thank you, Eric. That's good because our kids need more things like that. Other than that, go ahead and throw our last picture up that we had about what love is. And so I just want to end with this. This is a scripture from the Bible, and hopefully you all can see it. It is basically, it just tells you what love is. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love doesn't envy. Love does not brag. Love is not proud. Love doesn't dishonor others. Love doesn't seek its own way. Love is not easily angered. Love takes no accounts of evil. Love does not rejoice in righteousness. Love rejoices with truth. Love bears all things. Love believes in all. Love hopes in all things, and love endures all things. And that's from Corinthians 13:4-7. So I just want to leave you guys with that.
And our next podcast is on Sunday, May 29th. And the topic is on what is considered power and value as it pertains to relationships. So this is going to be an interesting conversation because Candace, this was a little powder cake for her. She was about that. So yes, we want to tune in. I'm pretty sure that'd be a great conversation to have with you guys. And I would like to also give a thanks to everybody who supported, like, share, subscribe. Our last podcast video was trending over at 800 views, right? So I'm pretty sure these views, these podcasts are not watching themselves, right? And so we'd like to really thank you guys for supporting us, for checking on with us, for just listening with us, tuning in with us. I know it's the end of your day, end of your week, and starting a new week. And so we really appreciate the support. We love y'all. With that being said, we will talk to y'all next time.
Love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. And thanks, Candy. Candy said she loved the show tonight. I just apologize, guys. It did go longer than we anticipated, but
Yes.
I feel like you guys engaged really well. I think everybody did a good job of telling us what movie introduced them to love and what song introduced them to love. But again, thank you. Thanks, you guys. Love you all. And until we see you next time.
Yes. Peace.